The crowd was deafening. Thousands of aliens packed the amphitheater, Kurids, Valari, Drixians, nobles, and slaves alike, all baying for blood under the twin suns of Veltoras, capital of Sector 9. Stone seats curved up into the smog-choked skies like the ribs of some long-dead god, and above it all, camera drones hovered silently, feeding the footage to trillions across the galactic network. At the center of the arena, alone in a circle of burning sand, stood a boy, human, barefoot, shirtless, 16. His name was Leo Vance, but no one in the crowd cared. To them, he was just another Terran rat. Another episode in the weekly death broadcast, Execution Hour. A species reduced to spectacle. Blood dripped from his mouth. His hands were bound. A gash split his cheek. His knees trembled under his thin frame, but he stood, his back straight, chin high. He wasn't trying to be defiant. He just refused to kneel. Across from him, standing 10 feet tall in obsidian warplate, was General Exaltor, warlord of the Kurid Empire. His pulse blade crackled with blue plasma. Every movement of the weapon hissed in the air like a predator tasting blood. He turned to face the crowd and raised a single clawed hand. Silence dropped like a guillotine. "Today," he bellowed, voice amplified by his armor's vox core, "we purge another virus from the Terran filth." The crowd roared again. Horns blared. Drones zoomed in on the boy's face. Leo didn't flinch. Exaltor turned back, towering over him now. "You stole from a Valari freighter. Violated sovereign space. Interfered with property of the Galactic Council." Leo's lips moved. No microphone picked it up, but the broadcast AI enhanced it. "It was medicine," he whispered, "for my sister." A moment of pause. Even the crowd seemed to hold its breath. Exaltor stared at him, unblinking, then gave a slow, cruel nod. "Then she dies with you." He lifted the pulse blade high. But Leo looked up, not at the general, not at the weapon, not at the alien crowd or cameras. He looked straight into the sky, beyond the dome of the arena, beyond the clouds, beyond even the twin suns. And he smiled. "Tell them I'm still waiting." Then the blade came down. A burst of light. One clean arc. The boy's body crumpled to the sand in 2 pieces, legs folding under, head rolling slightly to the left, still staring skyward. The execution was complete. The crowd erupted. Applause, howls, bets paid, broadcast clipped and edited. Commentators immediately began their post-match analysis. Another weakling from the Terran gutter. Folks, if only they had spine like the Drixians. Did you see the hesitation? Though? Strange for a boy so close to death. What do you think he meant by "tell them I'm still waiting"? Probably nothing. Just pitiful defiance. They all do it. Next up, 2 Graxian murder beasts face off in the Black Pit. You won't want to miss this bloodbath. The feed ended, and for exactly 8 minutes, nothing happened. Until Earth woke up. At the edge of the Orion Belt, a satellite long thought deactivated pulse once, then again. Deep in the ruins of Earth's final command citadel, a vault unlocked itself after 731 days of silence. Inside, mechanical arms stirred. A signal was born. It traveled through burnt-out relay chains, skipped across hidden black sites orbiting moons that no longer had names. It passed through encrypted wormhole Reuters into long-abandoned intelligence arrays carved inside asteroids. At exactly 8.01 seconds, the signal reached its final destination, a dark chamber beneath outpost Anatos, embedded inside the remains of Earth's last moon base. There, a single figure stood from a steel chair. Lean, young, sharp angles and sharp eyes, bay arms wrapped in tactical gauze, a matte black dog tag around his neck. Kale Via, age, 23, origin, unknown, call sign, Revenant. He watched the footage of Leo's death once. Then again, on the third viewing, he didn't blink. He leaned forward, paused on the moment Leo looked up, the moment he smiled, the moment before the blade dropped. He knew, Kale said quietly, he knew we were watching. Then he stood. A low hiss echoed as twin racks of weapons unsealed from the chamber walls. Blades, rifles, particle cannons, exobinders. None of them mattered. Kale only took one thing. A railgun, black, unmarked, with Earth's last flag etched faintly into the barrel. He slung it across his back, turned toward the drop bay doors, and walked through the scanner like a man clocking into wake. As he stepped into the launch tube, a voice buzzed over comms. "Revenant, this is Command. You are cleared for deployment. Primary target." Kale's voice came like thunder made of ice. "Sector 9. Burn it." And elsewhere, they heard, in the shadows of Titan's remains, Sulla stirred, a silver-haired, sharp-jawed phantom built like a dancer, lugging a rotary cannon the size of a coffin. In a dark mine on Mercury's underside, Viwayanan opened his eyes, mute, eyes glowing amber, twin pistols hanging from his waist like serpents waiting to strike. Inside a cryopod buried beneath the Pacific, Aria's reanimated. 5 feet 9 inches, lavender-eyed, knives instead of fingernails, smiling as though war was a joke told only to him. The Ash Protocol had been awakened. No transmission, no declaration of war, no formal statement. The Galactic Council didn't even know what they'd done wrong yet. Their sensors detected strange movements in human dead zones, cloak fleets forming above Pluto, mass driver silos activating in asteroid belts. A ripple of unease spread through the higher ranks of the alien military. Some said, "It's impossible. Earth is finished." Others said, "Who was a boy?" The true ones, those who fought in the Battle of 10 Suns, they didn't speak. They just prepared to die. Meanwhile, in Sector 9, celebrations continued. The execution had been a success. Ratings were high. Liquor flowed. Politicians laughed. Warlords drank from golden horns as Leo's body was incinerated and dumped into a gutter-like trash. No one noticed the satellites going dark. No one cared when the planetary defense grid blinked off for 5 seconds. Just a glitch. Just static. And then, something began to fall from orbit. Fast. Silent. Not a bomb. Not a ship. A drop pod. Black. Engraved with no insignia. No nation. No code. Just a single white-hot symbol burning on the outer shell. A flame consuming a star. The mark of Ash Protocol. Inside, Kael'Vaya stood, hands clenched, eyes dead. His only thought, they made him smile before they killed him. Now I'll make them scream before I end them. The pod pierced the clouds. Screams began. The first sign of death wasn't the explosion. It was a silence. A stillness fell over the Sector 9 sky as Kael'Vaya's drop pod cut through the clouds like a meteor with purpose. It moved too fast for orbital cannons, too low for interceptor drones, too quiet for alarms to trigger. It wasn't a military landing. It was an executioner's entrance. By the time the planetary sensors picked it up, it was already over the capital. The pod rotated once, stabilizers hissing, then accelerated directly toward Veltora's Prime, the same arena where Leo Vance's blood still stained the sand. Inside the pod, Kale stood perfectly still. No helmet, no armor, just a matte black tank top, blood binder gloves, and his railgun across his back. His pale blonde hair slicked to one side, eyes flat as orbit. He hadn't blinked since launch. A countdown flickered on the inside glass of the pod. T-minus 12 seconds. A voice crackled over his earpiece. "Revenant, this is Ash Command. Confirm ground fall trajectory. Do you want backup insertion?" Kale's voice was low. "Controlled. Dead calm. Send them all. But they'll only see smoke." T-minus 0. The pod slammed into the center of Veltora's with a sound like judgment. The shockwave vaporized 3 nearby guards and turned the polished white plaza into a crater of molten slag. Alien civilians screamed. Alarms blared. Above, holograms glitched and twisted, still displaying Leo's death on loop, the boy's final smile repeating across 100 screens. Kale stepped from the crater. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. He simply walked. His boots hissed against the cracked tiles, steam rising from the heat of his arrival. Guards flooded into the square. Kuridan forces, full armor, pulse carbines at the ready. Kale stopped walking. He looked up at them, expression unreadable. A Kurid officer stepped forward, shouting orders in their tongue. "This is restricted ground. Terran, identify yourself or be terminated." Kale didn't respond. He lifted his railgun from his back. Slowly, like drawing a breath. Then he fired. The blast tore through the officer's chest and vaporized everything behind him: guards, wall, and part of a transport vessel. The railgun didn't fire a bullet. It fired mass at a speed reality could barely tolerate. The weapon screamed. Kale moved. They never had a chance. The first Enforcer squad went down in 6 seconds. 3 crushed by shockwaves, 2 decapitated with bare hands, 1 impaled on his own rifle. A second wave came in with plasma blades. Kale caught the first strike with his forearm, spun, and shattered the wielder's skull against a support beam. He moved like a shadow sharpened into a weapon. Too fast, too brutal. But it wasn't just brutality. It was precision. Every strike had intent. Every bullet, placement. He fought like he was keeping a promise. Above the city, orbital control panicked. Fleets scrambled. Defensive towers activated. Too late. They never saw the other pods. From the upper stratosphere, 5 more black spears fell from the clouds, each one marked with a white flame, each one carrying a twin killer built for annihilation. They didn't land with finesse. They punched through buildings. They crashed through glass towers. They howled across alien skies. First to hit, Arius. His pod exploded through a courthouse, killing 20 on impact. He emerged amid debris, blood already spattering his cheekbones, vibro knives growing from his wrists like ivory claws. Arius laughed as he tore through guards in suits of gold. "You dressed up for a funeral," he purred. Second, VYNN. He landed inside a munitions depot, dual pistols hissing out rounds like rain. Mute, emotionless, never missing a single target. He moved in silence, a whisper of gunfire in the screaming dark. Third, Solace. His pod cratered into the council spire itself. The blast shattered 30 floors. He stepped out, dragging a chain gun the size of a turret, silver hair plastered to his forehead, tank top stained with smoke. Then he spun the barrel. The spire fell. The Ash Protocol had returned, not as soldiers, as myth, as the wrath of a species left for dead. Inside the arena, Kaelvi walked past a place where Leo Vance had died. The blood was still there. The sand had been scorched, but not cleaned. The execution had been meant to humiliate humanity, not just destroy it. Kale knelt beside the spot, touched the blood, closed his eyes. And when he opened them, something broke inside him. General Exaltor was watching it all unfold from the balcony of his war tower. His servants screamed. His advisors fled. He did not. He was a courier general, a butcher of 5 campaigns, a decorated warlord. He had executed the boy himself. And now the Terran was here. He watched the broadcast from the plaza, watched his elite guards fall like sand to wind, watched one human, just one, carved through his battalions with nothing but a gun, a face like a statue, and a gaze that never blinked. Then he saw Kale look up, straight at the tower, straight at him. Kale pointed once with 2 fingers, then curled them into a fist. Seconds later, the building shook. Explosions rang out. The tower's defense cannons were gone. The elevator shaft collapsed. The lights went red. Kale was coming, and nothing in the galaxy could stop him now. Across the city, alien civilians fled. They screamed. They begged. Some dropped to their knees and raised flags. But Kale didn't see civilians. Not anymore. They cheered when the boy died. They laughed when he begged for his sister. They watched. That made them part of it. So Kale kept moving. He didn't fire on the innocent. He didn't have to. The city was already burning. At the edge of Veltoras, a young alien girl stared up at the sky as black smoke filled the horizon. She looked at her father, trembling. "Papa, who are they?" Her father didn't answer. He'd fought in the war of attrition. He'd killed humans before. He thought they were animals. Weak. Finished. But now? Now he saw them for what they truly were. Not extinct. Not broken. Just quiet. Too quiet. Until someone touched one of their own. Until someone killed a boy who smiled at death. Then they came back. Not as soldiers. As vengeance. He grabbed his daughter and ran. Far above, the Galactic Council finally sent a message. A full system broadcast. To the human attacking Sector 9, identify your allegiance. This is a violation of peace accords. Cease fire immediately or face galactic retaliation. Kale saw the message. He activated his comm. He answered, but not with words. He uploaded a clip. Just the footage. Leo Vance, standing, smiling, then dying. Then the screen went black, and Kale's voice echoed into every sector of the Galactic Council's feed. No peace, no mercy, no surrender. Then he turned off his comm, adjusted his grip on the railgun, and looked up at the tower where the general waited. Kale didn't run. He walked, through fire, through wreckage, through the screams of a city that thought it was untouchable. He walked like the executioner he had become. One man, one boy's smile burned into his brain, and when he reached the tower doors, he raised his boot and kicked them in. The Galactic Council didn't sleep that night. They didn't hold meetings. They didn't send envoys. They panicked, because Sector 9, the jewel of Council Dominion, wasn't just under attack. It was being erased. Inside the Tower Dominion, Kurid Warlord General Exaltor stood before a holo map of Veltoras. The display flickered, red alerts consuming nearly every district. Entire battalions gone dark. Civilian sectors flattened. Airspace lost. The general's clawed hand shook over the console. Every time he blinked, he saw the boy's eyes. Not the one outside, Kaelvire. No, the other one. The boy he executed. Leo, the one who smiled. The one who knew this was coming. Exaltor clenched his jaw, trying to silence the sound of sand beneath boots echoing in his head. They said Terrans were broken. They said humanity was done. Then the boy died, and the human spoke. Outside, Kaelvire climbed the tower. No elevator, no tech, just steps. He walked, one level at a time, railgun strapped tight, boots coated in ash. The corridors were empty, abandoned by guards who saw what he did to their friends. Some floors still had bodies. Some floors still had heat. He ignored them all. He was climbing toward the man who killed Leo Vance. He didn't know what he would do when he got there, but it would be final. Above, the Galactic Council broadcast its second system-wide message. It was shaky, desperate. We demand an explanation. This is not sanctioned retaliation. You are violating galactic law. Identify the executed boy. Identify your motive. No reply came, until someone else answered. Not from Earth, not from Kale, but from Lunar Archive 7, a deep ice vault beneath the remains of the moon, now operated by a dormant AI known only as Eidolon. The AI accessed the original identity database. It retrieved the file. Then it transmitted it, uncensored, across every open galactic frequency. Subject, Vance, Leo Afrin. Classified lineage, active. Genetic match, 99.7%. ADM Aurelia Vance, Supreme Strike Commander, Ash Protocol. Terran status, firstborn. For 7 seconds, the galaxy didn't breathe. Then the screaming began. Inside the council chamber aboard Alcarian Prime, the Supreme Minister of the Valari species dropped his wineglass. He was her son. A Drixian lord hissed, "This is impossible." She died at 10 sons. A whisper came from the shadows, a name like a memory. The Ashblood, Admiral Aurelia Vance. They remembered her name now. She wasn't just a war leader. She was a blade of Earth, commander of the first orbital strike that leveled 4 council moons in a single hour. A ghost from a war everyone wanted to forget. She had vanished after the defeat. Rumors claimed she'd fled. Others said she died in the collapse of the last Terran fleet. But now, her blood had been spilled, live, and her blood had smiled. On floor 81, Kaelvire found a locked blast door. He placed his palm against the panel. It didn't scan. It didn't beep. It melted. He walked through the smoke. Inside, General Exaltor stood alone. Armor cracked, blade drawn. His hand trembled. "You're the Revenant," he growled. "The Butcher of Europa. The sniper from Helix Gate. The freak they thaw when they want cities erased." Kale said nothing. He took 1 step forward. "That boy wasn't a soldier," the general hissed. "He stole from our ships. We followed protocol." Kale stopped. "He stole medicine." "That's not the point." "He didn't kneel." "He was nothing." Kale's eyes burned cold. "He was everything." The fight was short. It didn't deserve to be called a duel. Exaltor swung first, wild, desperate. Kale dodged, caught his arm, drove an elbow into his throat. The general staggered, roaring. Kale moved like gravity itself. He ducked, spun, and slammed his boot into the alien's kneecap, shattering it. The warlord fell. Kale leveled his railgun, paused. He smiled. "WH what?" the general croaked. "He smiled before you killed him." "That's insignificant." Kale didn't fire. Instead, he holstered the gun, stepped forward, and knelt beside the general. He leaned close. Their foreheads nearly touched. Kale whispered, "You showed the galaxy a boy's death. Now I'll show them yours." Then he stood, took the general by the throat, and threw him through the glass wall. From the ground level of Veltoras, alien civilians looked up. They saw a body fall from the top of the war tower, screaming, flailing, burning. They saw it hit the plaza floor, and they saw the figure step into the light behind the broken window above. Kael'Vire. He held up a data crystal, loaded it into his arm, activated the city's central broadcast. Every screen in Sector 9 flickered, then changed. Leo's face appeared first, then his execution, then his identity, then Kale's face, calm, dust-streaked, eyes like vengeance made flesh. He spoke to every being in the system. "You executed the son of Earth's greatest admiral. You laughed when he begged. You broadcast his death to trillions. Now we broadcast yours." He lifted the crystal, loaded a new file. Ash Protocol is active. Earth doesn't want your apology. Earth doesn't want your surrender. We want your extinction. Then he ended the feed. Kale turned from the window. Behind him, his team was waiting. Arya sat on a curried throne, licking blood from his knuckles. VYNN reloaded calmly, eyes scanning the smoke for new targets. Solus leaned against the scorched wall, chain gun still humming. Kale looked at them. "We're not finished." Arius grinned. "Tell me there's a palace to flatten." "A dozen," Kale replied. "But we start with the archives. We erase them from memory." VYNN nodded once. Solus cracked his neck. "Then we burn the sky." Above them, Earth's hidden fleets decloaked. Warships with no names. Engines built in black sites. Payloads older than the Council itself. Each bore the white flame. Each carried hundreds like Kale. Quiet, beautiful, brutal. Twinks made for war. Made for retribution. Made for the last thing the galaxy would ever see. Sector 9 was only the beginning. They had 7 days, and 39 systems to burn. Sector 9 didn't fall. It vanished. By day 3, its cities were glass craters. Its towers were tombstones. Its elite military force, the Veltora's Honor Guard, had been annihilated in under 6 hours by 6 Terrans, all under 30, all smiling when they killed. And above the ruins, Earth's forgotten fleet hung silent in low orbit, unpainted, unmarked, unstoppable. Black starships with no diplomatic ports, no negotiation decks, no signals. They hadn't come to talk. They came to end everything. In the Council's war chamber, chaos ruled. Admirals shouted. Ministers wept. One Valari strategist had already shot himself on live broadcast. Their AI tried to calculate response probabilities. None exceeded 2.3% success. The worst part? Earth still hadn't sent an official statement. There was no declaration of war, no diplomacy, just a boy's face on every screen, and the silence of humanity's executioners. The feed replayed over and over. Leo Vance, standing in the arena, blood on his mouth, chin lifted, then the blade, then nothing. That nothing had a name. Kael'Vire, call sign, Revenant. His railgun had fired 17 shots since landing. He hadn't missed once. Now, he stood at the gates of Vault 0-9, Sector IX's Central Command Core, a fortress carved into the planet's mantle. 30 feet of alloy walls, electromagnetic shielding, sentry systems, orbital overrides, drone factories, war droids. It had never been breached. It had never even been attacked. And Kael'Vire stood in front of it alone. A voice buzzed over the fortress intercom. "Identify yourself. You are surrounded. This facility is protected by planetary law." Kale didn't answer. He reached into his back pouch, pulled out a silver chain, the boys' dog tags, Leo's. He wrapped them once around his fist, then punched the ground. The shockwave cracked the entrance. 30 seconds later, Vault 0IX's blast doors caved inward like paper. Kale stepped into fire. Inside, council guards opened up with everything: rotary guns, plasma cannons, seismic charges. Kale didn't flinch. He moved like a ghost cut from tungsten, dodging blasts, breaking skull with the butt of his railgun, grabbing a Valari soldier by the neck and hurling him through 3 concrete walls. They tried to lock doors. He broke through them. They tried to launch drones. He shredded them midair. They tried to run. He walked them down. 31 confirmed kills. 1 bruised knuckle. No word spoken. By the time Kale reached the core chamber, the last general was already on his knees. Old, wrinkled, scales gray with age. He held a recording tablet up like a shield. His voice trembled. "You don't understand." This wasn't personal. That boy was just protocol. We've executed hundreds. He was nothing. Kale didn't stop walking. "We were told you were extinct," the general begged. "We thought the S protocol had died with your admiral." Kale finally spoke. "It didn't." Then he put a round through the tablet, through the general's skull, and through the server behind him. At that exact moment, 12 cities in council territory lost power. 3 trade networks collapsed. 1 capital moon went offline. The core's destruction caused a feedback loop that wiped out half the system's infrastructure. Kale walked out of Vault 0-9 as the sky turned red behind him. High above, Earthships moved, like shadows cast by fury, not toward reinforcements, not toward retaliation. They aimed at civilization itself, system by system. The Galactic Council called an emergency summit. Every species attended. The Valari demanded Earth be exterminated. The Kurids demanded vengeance. The Noxians, who had stayed silent for 2 decades, warned that continued provocation would result in total Terran eradication. Then the human representative appeared. A single projection. No face. No name. Just a voice. "We are not here to negotiate. We are not here to forgive. We are not here for reparations." The council demanded to know why Earth had waited, why they had gone silent after 10 suns, why no one responded to peace. The voice answered, "Because you didn't kill our armies. You killed our children." Silence. There is no treaty for that. By day 4, 10 more systems burned. Not targeted strikes. Cultural centers, historical archives, relics, cathedrals. The council's history, erased. They didn't just lose ground. They lost identity. In the ruins of Sector 9, Kale and the other Ash Protocol agents stood amid the silence. Not celebrating, not mourning, just listening. Arius leaned against a scorched statue, wiping blood from his lips. "How many more?" Kale stared at the sky. 37. Solus loaded his chain gun, expression calm. "How do we end this?" Kale didn't blink. "We don't." Meanwhile, deep beneath the rubble of Veltoras, something awoke. Not a weapon, not a signal. A memory, a video file. Hidden, buried, locked inside the arena's master server. It opened. The footage was shaky, recorded by one of the drone cams before the execution. It showed Leo in his holding cell, sitting, hands bloody, face bruised, humming something. The guards mocked him, called him meat, told him he'd die in the date. He just smiled. He looked at the camera and whispered, "I hope they watch me die." Pause, because when they do, they'll remember. Another pause, then a grin, tired, crooked, brave. "I'm not alone." The file ended. Kale watched it in silence. Then he loaded it into his wrist core, broadcasted it to every screen in the sector. No words, just Leo's voice, just that final look. "I'm not alone." And across the galaxy, others woke up. Old agents, hidden remnants, twinks with scars and old kill counts, still hiding in the black, waiting for a signal. Now they had one. The flame reignited. Earth had been silent, but silence was never surrender. It was a countdown. And now, the galaxy was out of time. The galaxy didn't sleep anymore. It didn't eat. It didn't vote, debate, or trade. It watched, in horror, in silence, in desperate prayer, as one world after another went dark under Earth's shadow. And above it all, in orbit, drifting like specters, the human fleet remained still. No comms, no logos, no lights, only black holes and blood memory. By day 6, 23 systems were already gone. By day 7, there were 5 left. The Galactic Council assembled for the last time. Location, Alcarian Prime, Council Capital. Species, 42. Defense rating, maximum. Population, 34 billion. They brought in war fleets. They activated doomsday shields. They summoned the last of the psionic Archons, 10,000-year-old tacticians who once split moons with thought. And then they waited. They expected another Kael'vire. They expected 5 twinks with railguns and bad attitudes. They did not expect what came next. 8 minutes flat, orbit over Alcarian Prime. The sky split open. Not with fire, but with silence. One massive ship decloaked, larger than any council vessel, the size of a city, shaped like a spear with a burning core. Its name flickered on no records. Its design was unknown. But across every screen on Alcarian, one message appeared. Ash Protocol, Omega Variant. Then, finally, after 7 days of carnage, silence, and retribution, a face, female, mid-40s, scars across her left cheek, steel gray eyes, hair pulled back in a combat braid. Admiral Aurelia Vance. Alive. Inside the council chamber, diplomats froze. A Kurid War Baron dropped to one knee. The Valari delegation screamed. The Supreme Minister of the Drixian Confederacy whispered, "She's supposed to be dead." Aurelia's voice came through. Cold. Controlled. 7 days ago, you executed my son on live broadcast. You called it justice. You called it sport. You watched him smile. And you cheered. She paused. Her eyes never blinked. This wasn't a war. This was a message. This is the cost of touching our blood. The council's commander, a 12-eyed brute with a voice like a landslide, leaned forward. You've made your point, Terran. Enough blood has been spilled. Let us negotiate a ceasefire before billions more die. Aurelia tilted her head, slightly. You don't understand. We didn't come here to make a point. We came here to finish the species that watched the boy die with a smile. Then she cut the transmission, and the sky opened. The spaceship fired once. Just once. The blast split Alcarian's planetary shields like glass, bypassing matter, detonating hope. Kael'vire descended minutes later. No railgun, no armor, just him, shirtless, burned, his boots leaving black marks as he walked through streets of fleeing nobles. He passed shrines. He passed history museums. He passed cathedrals where ancient alien gods were once worshipped. He passed them all, and he torched them. VYNN arrived next. No ship, just a blink flash through satellite gates, teleporting midair, pistols drawn before gravity even noticed. Each shot he fired ended a life of privilege. Arius danced through the royal court, slicing through silk-robed politicians, laughing as he dragged one screaming baron across the polished marble by his spine. Solus descended through fire and rubble, chain gun coughing thunder, white hair streaked with blood. He didn't flinch when struck. He didn't speak when begged. He only reloaded. And then the Admiral landed. She didn't fight. She didn't need to. She walked through the ruins with her son's dog tags in her hand, each step echoing with 700 years of Terran history. Colonies burned, diplomats mocked, children butchered. She walked until she reached the council chamber. She stepped inside. No guards remained, just a dozen trembling counselors, each one ancient, each one who had voted for Terran Termination Broadcast Act 12.3, the law that legalized Leo's execution. Aurelia stood at the center of the chamber. Dropped the tags. Clink. They spun once. Then settled. Say his name, she said. No one moved. Say his name. A Valari finally broke. Leo Vance. Aurelia nodded once, then tapped her wrist and erased the chamber. No scream. No resistance. Just fire and silence. 12 minutes later, the council no longer existed. Earth did not celebrate. There were no parades, no medals, no songs, only silence, and Leo's smile carved into the ash of Alcarian's ruins. The galaxy fractured. Borders collapsed. Species fled to the edge of the void, praying Earth would not follow. But Earth didn't chase. Earth had no interest in peace, or war, or control. Only one thing mattered: memory. The memory of a boy who stood in front of 1,000,000,000,000 beings and smiled before he died. The memory of a species that rose up not to conquer, but to correct. In the smoldering remains of the council arena, Kael'Vaya found what was left of the broadcast console. He powered it on one last time. No signal, no viewers, no network. Still, he pressed record. He stared into the lens, railgun slung across his back, lips cracked, eyes sunken but sharp. 7 days ago, you executed a boy. And for 7 days, we executed your history. He paused. The wind howled behind him. Humanity didn't die in the War, 10 Sons. We went quiet. Another pause. Longer. And now, so will you. Then he stepped away and walked into the ash. Epilogue. Centuries later, the ruins of the council will be discovered by scavenger races. Inscriptions, weapons, burned banners. No name survived. Only one artifact remained untouched, unweathered. A plaque, bolted into the stone. Metal, blackened, but legible. And on it, written in Terran Standard, were 4 words. He smiled. We answered.